Hello, everybody. It's Olivia Richardson with Senior Marketing Specialist and Medicare Cafe. And today I just want to give you guys a really quick update on what you should be expecting from the recent update of the Medicare Communications and Marketing Guidelines that came out October 8th, right before AEP. So there's been a lot of talk about what this actually means because it's a pretty dense document, and upon reading it for the first time, it looks like, yeah, this is stuff we already know. It's just basically what CMS did was give clarifications. What are those clarifications pertaining to? Well, you asked for it, you got it. CMS crackdowns on call centers and the famous Joe Namath advertising. Unfortunately, even though that's who CMS was targeting, it does affect all agents. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that is completely fine. This is a document that came out again on October 8th that was more geared towards the insurance carriers. That's who these communications go to. However, it does affect insurance agents' everyday marketing techniques and ideas. So really, this broke down to 2 points. One is regarding marketing, and the other was regarding telephonic sales. Telephonic sales, not a call center. I'm talking to you, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, who sells anything over the phone. So let's start off with the marketing communications and what exactly this means. What this communication really was cracking down on is people talking about Medicare Advantage plans, benefits, and options in a very generic format. Now, there's a lot of interpretations, and that's what these communications are, is how are you interpreting these rules? So our compliance officer at Senior Marketing Specialist has partnered up with different carriers to get what their interpretations of those rules are. What we've come up with so far is essentially saying that if you are going to be putting in print, writing, verbal, and a mass basis, if you're going to be talking about plan-specific dollar amounts, that will now have to be CMS approved. So what does that mean? If you're going to say a $0 premium, get your Part B $150 payback. If you're going to be saying get $1,500 of dental benefits every single year, if you are mentioning a dollar amount, that ad will not considered compliant unless you get it approved by CMS. CMS is now opening the floodgates for agents to submit their generic marketing pieces in an effort to get approved. So if you have some generic marketing pieces that are not carrier specific, but they mention dollar amounts in any way, shape, or form, talk to Senior Marketing Specialist. They got the hookup. They can submit those pieces to CMS. If you're hoping to do this prior to AEP, good luck next time. The turnaround period right now is being advertised as a 6 to 8 week turnaround period for CMS to approve these. I imagine you're going to look at more of an 8 to maybe 12 week turnaround period. Not quite what I would consider in time for AEP. But if you do have this, again, not company specific, non-branded general marketing ideas that involve a dollar amount, send those to us. We can try to submit those on to CMS for approval. If you're still wanting to not have to go through that mess and wait that long, don't forget a lot of carriers like United Healthcare, Humana, Aetna, Mutual of Omaha, they already have CMS approved branded materials that do advertise these different benefits that you can customize for your agency name, logo, headshot. You can make them your own. They are going to be carrier branded though. So we're seeing a little bit of a dip in the generic marketing. Again, really targeting those Joe Namath ads that are super, super generic. We all knew that not everybody qualified for those plans. This is kind of a result of all that complaining that we did. Now, the second part of the Medicare Communications and Marketing Guidelines that came out October 8th is actually much less talked about, which is a little concerning. And honestly, in our house, the jury's still out of what it actually means. So I'm going to give you what our interpretation is so far. Stay tuned for some updates. So as of this morning, what we're reading these as is actually affecting the telephonic sales. Now, this isn't talking about call centers because call centers have always had to follow these rules. They're basically saying that call centers are now being held the same level of responsibility as the individual agent that happens to sell non-face-to-face. If you are going to do any sales presentation, period, any sales presentation over the phone, that call or Zoom meeting has to be recorded and has to be kept on file for at least 10 years. So again, that's something that we haven't really had to deal with in the past. Before, it was always call centers had to do this because the enrollment of that applicant had to be done over the phone, and that's still true. If you call in United Healthcare or Aetna or anybody who has telephonic enrollment, actually submitting the application, that's always needed to be recorded. This is actually saying the entire sales process now has to be recorded. Again, we may be sending out some updates, jury's still out, but that is the initial interpretation of what that rule is going to mean. So making sure you're reaching out to your telephonic phone provider and seeing if they have call recording capabilities might be something that we need to have you turn on if you're going to do any non-face-to-face appointments. I'm going to circle back really quick to the the marketing portion of this. There is one major thing I did forget to mention on the marketing side of this, and that is going to be that if you are using any type of lead vendor, because that's what the Joe Namath ads are, or just a lead vendor selling these leads. So if you're going to be using any type of lead vendor, that lead now also has to be approved by CMS. So if you're working with an organization that is not allowing you to see the lead card, most notably that's going to be your internet lead companies, if they're not allowing you to see the lead that attracted that client to you in the first place, that's no longer compliant. And it actually kind of wasn't compliant, but who's going to hold them accountable? Lead vendors are not held accountable by CMS. They're now saying they're going to hold the agent accountable for making sure that that lead has been run through compliance and that lead has been held for that client for 10 years. So just keep that in mind. Now you need to ask your lead vendors a few more questions. Has the lead been CMS approved? Does the lead have any dollar amounts available on it? And if you're not allowed to see the lead that client came in on, may want to look at a different vendor because technically that lead is no longer considered compliant. So that was a pretty significant portion, part 2 of the part 1 of the part 2 series. So again, that is, our update on the Medicare Communications and Marketing Guideline update or memo that came out October 8th. You may see some more updates on us because we're consistently working 24/7 trying to make sure we are understanding and interpreting these compliance regulations appropriately. So if you have any questions, obviously, thank you guys so much for being fans of the Medicare Cafe. Make sure you tune in with us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time for updates like this, especially during AEP, just some little shots of information, if you will. So this has been Medicare Cafe's What's Brewing. We'll see you next time.